Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher Circus, and today I'm gonna be playing with the most aggressive team I could devise. And I am playing against someone that is also playing with quite an interesting setup, to say the very least. So what is this most aggressive setup that I have conceived here? Well, I have the Houndmaster and an Antiquarian, both of them with finishers and both of them with trinkets that are gonna make their AoE abilities absolutely scary. So I'm just planning to go absolutely wild with the DOT and make my opponent just completely suffer in terms of their health bars and just keep pushing, keep going for the death blows. Now, to make that even better, I have a Flatulent here, which is going to give the team a little bit of solidity, which we definitely need, because if you do want to bring your opponents down to their door by being very aggressive, you kind of need to be alive to then kill them as well. So if you have just something that can help with that while also outputting a lot of DOT, it's definitely going to be a boon, and that's what I'm going to be trying to go for. And as for a fourth character, I kind of didn't really know too well what to pick. There were a few characters I could have picked. First I thought of Man-at-Arms, which was kind of the obvious pick, but so I was just bringing a Retribution Man-at-Arms and I could drop command buffs and I could do stuff like that. But honestly, Man-at-Arms isn't a very aggressive character, he's more of a defensive character, so I thought, you know, that's not that great. Let's go ahead and bring a character that's a bit more aggressive. Well, a bit more aggressive, what do I want to do? Well, if I bring Plague Doctor, then that disruption's gonna be absolutely atrocious. If I bring Abomination, exact same problem. If I bring the Highwayman, maybe I can still add a bit more defense while adding a bit more offense and making my attacks deal a bit more damage to bring a character down to 0 HP, which was really what I was looking for, because this might be a very aggressive team, but against characters that can heal for like 4, sure, the DOT will bring them right back down to 0, but I wouldn't really have an ability, apart from the Flatulence, to actually bring them down to 0. So having the Highwayman here to drop those Duelist Advances and those Wicked Slices, as well as being another support finisher, is very helpful. So here I click the Highwayman immediately, of course, to get rid of the stun and also have the riposte up, and I get rewarded by hitting that Abomination for a relatively decent amount. And now I will follow that up by continuing on the aggression. I do not know why I have Invigorating Vapors. That must be here from some kind of meme video I did a couple days ago, I guess. I haven't played Antiquarian in a while, so I imagine that's why it's there. I should be running Rejuvenating Vapors, or at the very least be running, what do you call it, the Nervous Snap, just in case there's a lot of protection. But now I can actually avoid the riposte, but do I really want to avoid the riposte? Nah, I want to go for the Houndsary. You know how it is, I want to drop the Houndsary. Also, the background today is once again different. I have gone back to the good old Shepherd Doggy background. I very much like this one, kind of underrated in terms of all the backgrounds I've had. If you must know, I'm actually keeping the backgrounds like in my, what do you call it, the work screen? I can't remember what to call it, but you know that little screen when you start up your computer, and that's where you have like most of the stuff. Some people have it very tidy and clean, some people have it an absolute mess. I do it sort of 50-50. I have like profile backgrounds in the top right, I have the games and the other stuff and other folders in the left, and over here just a massive stain on the screen is all the backgrounds that I've used for the Butcher Circus. I just keep them there. All of them have almost the same identical names, just like Arena, Dungeon, Darkest, something like that. And yeah, it just occupies a massive blob of backgrounds, but I'm very glad I've kept them. I also have a thumbnail folder, so it has literally hundreds of thumbnails in there already, which is pretty fun. I get to look back at them every now and then, and also would reuse them, but I don't reuse thumbnails or reuse assets from other thumbnails. I like to make them all from scratch. So, how should I continue this match? I'm probably gonna have to drop a Duelist Advance here. That would force the Abomination to heal, which is something that I would very much appreciate, but I would have to eat a riposte for it, which isn't too good, but I'm gonna have it redeemed soon enough, so I'm gonna do it anyway. Of course he gets a crit riposte, which makes it a little bit worse on me, But I guess I'll just have to live with it. I don't really mind all that much. He's definitely gonna be dropping. He's definitely gonna be staying at 0 unless he drops the Absolution. But after the Absolution drops down, it's gonna be, well, would be more Hound Series and Festering Vapors, but he'll have a slight breathing room. No, no, not a very big one. But this is when the match really starts turning. Usually for DOT teams, it's like round 4, round 5. But for this DOT team in particular, it's by the middle of round 3, because just look at the amount of DOT we applied. It's absolutely brutal. Even though my opponent's characters are quite squishy, even if, wow, even if they weren't that squishy, that's already one character gone. Jeez, yeah, that's -1 antiquarian Rip Bozo. And while my opponent did remove my antiquarian action, now I technically have more actions than you do, and the Abomination's still at this store, and I will get to go first here, even though I have more characters, because, wait, how did that happen? Because I got to go first and my opponent still used all their actions for round 3, so that is how it goes. I'm gonna drop the Festering Vapors now, 50-50, and I do not get it, just a Destor check. Sadly, I miss both the other characters too. I miss an 85 and a 75. So my opponent gets a 15 and a 25 in the same move, which is definitely unfortunate for me, but you know, what can I do about it? They go for the blackjack on the flash one here, which is absolutely wild because they're about to lose their Abomination. They should have lost them already. Now I'm just gonna go for the Hound Series. I'm gonna punish their decision, and yeah, this team just was not up to the challenge. They did have riposte, but I feel like it was too little too late. I was just able to suck up the damage from it, and while Beast Smile is a very good ability, when the match goes by this unbelievably quick, Beast Smile is definitely not going to be enough, unless you get crit after crit after crit on it, and you know, your riposte just start hitting for like 14, because that does happen, your riposte can start hitting for 14, but let's be honest, even if my opponent had healthier characters, you would still have to deal with the Flagellant at the end of the game. It just makes this character so unbelievably broken. The fact that you have one of the best aggressive characters also being one of the best defensive characters really is outrageous. So I'm gonna take the enemy doggy out. I'm very sorry, there were 4 doggies this match, by the way, but let's skip on to the end. There goes the Plague Doctor to a 15% death bow. Actually, I will say I also got quite lucky in terms of the RNG this match, and let's go straight into match number 2. Alright, and here we are in a match number 2, this time against someone called Stratak, and they have a stress team setup, I believe. Oh, with a Fleshbound Grimoire, okay. Looks like this is going to be an interesting one. So, my question for you is this video's title clickbait? Is this really the most aggressive team that you can build? And I will say it is slightly clickbait, because how do I quantify a team as being the most possible in terms of aggression? Because there are very aggressive teams like the Kalashnikov, which is just Abomination, Man-at-Arms, Doggy, and Occultist, and like that's the most aggressive stress team you can pretty much build. And it just goes hard, it absolutely goes hard, but is it more aggressive than this? And would a team just like this, like exactly like this, but without Content of Absolution be more aggressive? Would you count it like that? Or is this sufficient enough to be considered the most aggressive team? I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to quantify that. But what I can say for sure is that in terms of being a good team, maybe not a very competent team, but in terms of being a good team, a team that you definitely have a chance even against the top of the meta, and also being very aggressive and probably a lot of fun to play with, honestly, and unless you run into like triple riposte or something, I feel like this is a team that definitely does not disappoint. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the Reign of Sorrows now. One thing that will disappoint though is my accuracy values this match. Yeah, this is a debuff team with Blinding Gas and Terrifying Job. Usually wouldn't be a massive concern because I would have command buffs, but I have the Highman here. And while the Highman is an amazing character and he can drop the Vendetta, Vendetta doesn't even come close to a command buff. That's a mistake that I actually used to make in the past. I used to think like, oh yeah, you know, like, I'll just bring the Highman and he's kind of like an accuracy character. You just drop a Vendetta on the dodge character and then, you know, everything will be fine. not quite. If you have low accuracy abilities, they are still low accuracy abilities, even with the help of a Vendetta debuff. And let's keep in mind that you can miss the Vendetta, you can be kind of not able to drop the Vendetta if you get focused down too quickly, or if you get stunned, or if you get pushed around, or if you have to do something else. You can also not get the debuff on the Vendetta. Really, a lot of bad things can happen though when it comes down to dropping Vendettas on characters. I'm surprised this Plague Doctor doesn't try to heal herself. She's also at death's door already, by the way. That was a very quick death's door, to say the very least, and I'm actually gonna drop the Rain of Stars here. But Shep, that's not your best kill chance. Why do you do such a silly thing? Well, I want to also do collateral damage to the occultist, and since I don't really see any sort of very good way of saving this Plague Doctor, I feel like dropping the lowest deathblow chance ability first and then the higher deathblow chance abilities is overall a smarter move for me. Now, the question is, well, who should I go for first, Antiquarian or Doggy? I will go for the Doggy here. I'm hoping to get the kill, and I do with a 65% chance. Lovely. Sadly, I missed the Rain of Sorrows on the Occultist, so he's still alive, but next round he will also be dropping down to 0. Round 3, just from pretty much AoE abilities, and the enemy's backline has essentially just vanished, evaporated from the Butcher's Circus even. And all their front line is still, you know, relatively fine. They're not doing perfectly well. It would have been very nice if I actually got the Festering Vapors hit at Man-at-Arms there, but yeah, what you might be wondering, how the hell are you melting your opponent's team so quickly? Well, with the Rain of Sorrows, you get a very juicy bleed on the backlines, and you can stack that with Crushed Hemlock to make an even juicier bleed on the enemy backlines. Not only that, you can put a... I just went into the corpse. That was not what I wanted to do. I like misclicked IRL. I had an act out and somehow missed and hit the corpse instead of the Hellion. I was too deep in my thoughts to actually do that properly, but it will be okay. But yeah, the Antiquarian has a Materia Pestis, which is a Blight skill chance, a trinket, which is helpful for the Festering Vapors, of course. But unlike the Doggy's attack whistle, which is nice and very useful in its own right. Oh, jeez, look at the hit chances. I'll go for you. It is nice in its own right. The problem with the attack whistle is that it doesn't actually increase like the bleed duration or anything, unlike the Antiquarian one. It increases the blight duration by 33%, and you might be thinking, it's just 2 blight per turn, that's not gonna make much of a difference, right? Oh no, it does. It does make much of a difference. Let's go through a bit of a thought experiment. You're playing with your Antiquarian, you're running against a team that doesn't have a lot of dodge, doesn't have good blight resistances, they're all at like 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, and you drop your Festering Vapors and you hit, you know, usually, hopefully not 2 corpses, but you hit all the characters. You do like 2 damage on activation, so that's already like 8 damage, and then you do 2 times 4, which is 8 on each character, so 8 times 4 is 32, plus the 8 damage from activation, that's 40 damage, not counting crits. 40 damage on the entire team. If you drop just 2 Festering Vapors, that is enough to pretty much half most characters' health bars. Even the Crusader is almost going to have his health bar halved, and that's very important because Crusader is a tanky character, but against an Antiquarian with Materia Pestis, nothing's a tanky character. She's just gonna absolutely melt whatever she touches, which is why she's so freaking strong. Of course, I also got a Duelist Advanced crit round 1, so that was definitely very helpful there. In terms of trinket setups, apart from these 3 DOT characters, the higher manager is bringing Eagle Eye Talisman because I like actually hitting my opponent, and I'll go for Duelist Advance here, that'll be fine. I actually like hitting my opponent and also doing even more damage, and the Parrying Dagger to, you know, pretty much do the exact same thing. I don't have the bleed chance because I feel like PVS and Wicked Slice is overall better setup for a support finisher. So that is what I decided to bring today. I still miss, despite having the finisher accuracy coming in. Yeah, coming in not very clutch, and I miss again. Both my finisher characters missing this Hellion because of the freaking accuracy debuffs. This is a dodge Hellion and a half. She doesn't even have a dodge trinket, all she has is bolster. That's actually hilarious. 20 dodge is all it takes to fall in front of the Hellion. Yeah, I was trying to make a song reference there. Didn't turn out too well, but the Highwayman goes fearful of my terrible puns, and I will try to go for the Wicked Slice here. He decides to move himself back, that will be fine. I go for the 45, I don't take it, but I'm hoping my other characters will. And of course, after you kill every character but the Man-at-Arms, if you have a flagellant, it is nigh impossible to lose, so all I have to do here is just take the Hellion out, remove her from the match, and once that happens, there will be no concerns in terms of actually winning. Now, of course, I'm going to do 0 damage here with the Antiquarian because Fearful, 2 damage debuffs, 30 prot. Yeah, I did say 0 damage, didn't I? Yeah, I suppose a pass is also 0 damage. What about you? Minus 40. It shouldn't be 0. It says 0 to 1. Fine, All Hounds Rush. Fine. But now it's completely over. Even if I decide to pass with these 3 characters until the end of times, my opponent's Man-at-Arms is doing, I believe, 3 stress per turn on my flagellant, so it definitely won't be enough. Let's go ahead straight into match number 3. Alright, and here we go straight into match number 3. So I forgot to record it, but the Man-at-Arms got mauled by the doggy the previous round. And this time I'm playing against Asian Big DIK. And it looks like they have a sort of mix and match between defense and offense, but no, it's also very aggressive. It has a Generalist Crusader, I imagine he's planning to go aggressive, has Antiquarian Houndmaster, both for the Surf and Turf to just try and bring me down. But I will of course try to counter it. So who do I hit with the Duelist Advance? Shep, shouldn't you try to hit the doggy because he's a much squishier character so you can take him out earlier? Well, yes, but actually no. I'm gonna go for the Crusader because my Highwayman is pretty much the only character that can bring down the Crusader significantly apart from the Antiquarian. So if I want to bring him down in time to have all the pressure come in at the exact same time, with the Reign of Sorrows being taken into consideration, I feel like going for the Crusader there, since he only has 15 prot, being a better overall decision. So it is what I'm going for. Now I'm gonna go ahead and drop a Festering Vapors. I do believe I will get a few dodges, but that's perfectly okay. The ones that do not dodge get hit pretty hard, and even though the Antiquarian can drop Rejuvenating Vapors here, since there's no Tears of the Lost, I genuinely don't imagine that Rejuvenating Vapors doing anything good here. So the Man-at-Arms goes for those Bellows, and the Bellows here are really what's going to allow my opponent to actually play this match, because yeah, you can see them immediately hovering over the Highwayman, just fearing the amount of damage output he'll be able to do, because when you have 2 AoE characters, you really need to at the very least try to disrupt this, try to disrupt his damage. Now, I will say, I just failed a 95% bleed chance on the Man-at-Arms, and I failed a 60% bleed chance on the Crusader. Now this area has a base 110, this gives you another 20. I will say I'm very unlucky to say the very least, honestly. But you know, what can I do about it? Now she gets the dodge buff, please still hit. It would make me a very happy Shepherd Doggy, but no, double miss. I miss a 55 and a 50. Into a double zealous hit. Okay, this is gonna be a rough one. I can tell you that much already. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just be aggressive here. I'm gonna drop another Reign of Sorrows. I was really hoping to hit that Antiquarian, but I'll take a crit on the doggy, I guess. I'm forced to. I would really love to hit her here, because if I do hit her, she would go down to death's door immediately after clicking, which would just be amazing. But she's still in a rough spot here. Oh, she's gonna drop Rejuvenating Vapors. I personally don't agree with this move. I guess she can't really do too much else at this point. I suppose you could look at it that way. I could just go ahead and be very aggressive here, drop a Hound's Rush. Yeah, that's a possibility. Or I could keep being aggressive just overall. I think being aggressive overall is overall gonna be a better play for me, so I'm just gonna drop Festering Vapors right now. Yeah, I could be just dropping a Hound's Rush here, and then if they guard, the Festering Vapors just kills. And if they don't guard, they could try to heal, and then I don't really have a perfect follow-up, so it would get rid of the Zells, but I feel like just dropping more AoEs is gonna do me better in the long run, so that's what I'm gonna be going for. Right now I could drop a Vendetta, but it's unlikely that it will do enough damage. Sadly, so I'm gonna drop the Hound's area, which is more likely that it will do enough damage, even though it's the finisher ability. I'm still gonna go for it and then go for the Vendetta Deathloop, because I'd rather have a chance at getting a kill than having none. So my opponent is now in a weird spot where they either guard or they go for the heal, and they decide to guard you, which is definitely interesting. They decide to heal, and they get a crit heal on themselves because there's no justice in this round. There we go, I said it. There is absolutely no justice. Now, how much DOT are you taking? 8, you're healing 3, you're dropping to this store, that's good. You are definitely not dropping to this store, that's bad. Let's make you drop to this store. You're also a very dodgy character. Thankfully, I get a Vendetta debuff. I have failed too many Vendettas on these goddamn dodge doggies with the monkey's paws. But thankfully that didn't happen today, and I do believe that he's dropping to Death Star in the next round, and yes, he is. Both of them are dropping to Death Star on their turns, on their respective turns, so I very much appreciate that, but once again, the frontliners really haven't taken too much pressure, sadly. I have done some amount of pressure with the Festering Vapors, but I guess there wasn't really any misses, but they were really the only characters that really did anything here, honestly, because the doggy let me down, failed all the freaking bleeds, like twice, actually. Failed all the bleeds twice, unbelievable. And did I really fail 295 bleeds on the Man-at-Arms? Because I find it very unlikely that I actually missed. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just being very unlucky today, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a Duelist Advance on the doggy now with a crit. That's a lot of value right there. That is absolute amount of value. I was kind of unsure what I wanted to do right now. I was thinking, maybe just Reign of Sorrows, then he will still be brought down enough DOT, but honestly, I literally brought the Highman for this exact reason. Bring characters down to 0 and no other abilities can, and my opponent decides to go for the heal, or... no, they don't. They go for stunning blow into the crit fast. Oh my god, that is terrible for my opponent. It's absolutely terrible right now. And you might be wondering, well, Shep, are you gonna go for the 50-50 or are you gonna go for the Reign of Sorrows? Once again, Reign of Sorrows. But why, Shep? He might heal. I know, but I would rather have 2 potential characters at Deathblow than just 1. So I'm gonna go for the Reign of Sorrows, and I'm gonna keep both my finishers alive and ready to cause some pain here. Now my opponent will likely heal, and have... oh wow, they don't heal, they go aggressive. I am in shock. I am in absolute shock. I will click here next round, by the way, and have my boss up again as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And now I have a bit of a decision to make. Do I want to go for the kill with the doggy or with the Antiquarian? I'm gonna go with the Antiquarian because she has a damage debuff right now, so if my opponent would try to go for a guard or something like that, I'm not entirely sure. Now I'm also more likely to apply the Blight here onto the Man-at-Arms than I am to apply the Bleed. My opponent goes for the Antiquarian action, which is at this point just a complete misplay. There's really no reason to drop her down to 0 HP here. That's the first, like, misplay that my opponent has done. Now you might be seeing what I was talking about yesterday. This is why healing sometimes just doesn't work, even though it's technically the safer play. My opponent tried healing with their Crusader, it didn't work. They tried going aggressive, but they kind of went on the wrong character, honestly. Just the Highman had already done his job. He had already done the doggy down to 0. So my opponent really didn't need to do that, but you know, it's still what they did here. Did I go hopeless and immediately pass? Jesus, how's my opponent this lucky? Seriously, how is my opponent this freaking lucky? Well, now I don't go Reign of Sorrows, that's for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and click myself here. Yeah, sure, go for a guard, go for Festering Vapors, do whatever you want, I don't care. I'm definitely... the biggest misplay of the century right now would be to click here, go for Reign of Sorrows, because what happens is you don't get a kill, and after you don't get a kill, the Zealous brings you down to 0, and the enemy Festering Vapors kills you. That's, with the way the current RNG is going, that's what I imagine would happen. So I do not want that to happen, so I'm not gonna allow it to happen. I'm gonna go for the kill now, and boom, there goes the enemy backline. My Surf and Turf is better than your Surf and Turf, and I take my opponent's characters out. Now, let's be honest, if this was against a regular damage team, which team would do better? Probably my opponent's team, because the men-at-arms and, you know, just having the defense there is definitely more valuable than having Harman, that sort of setup. But in this sort of setup, oh no, 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 I am the one that has the advantage. I am the one that is holding the gun. I am the one who knocks. Indeed, and the doggy comes knocking on the Crusader's tin armor, and he's almost had a resolve check. He could go virtuous, but, you know, we never know. We never know what will happen. I will jump to that store here. I don't imagine my hit chance being anything even remotely close to good. Yeah, 85. Nope, I don't think so. Redeems before Exsanguinates, not because they're more valuable, but because you can't afford to miss the Exsanguinate at this point. If I did miss the Exsanguinate, that would be giving my opponent a fighting chance, because if they manage to get a lucky kill on my Flash, what would happen is my other characters would be healed, which would definitely be good for me. But what would happen that would be bad is, you know, my doggy's pretty much kind of dead after a while. The Highman wouldn't really do too well against the men-at-arms that would use his protection. And then there would just be the Antiquarian, so it would be the Antiquarian trying to win a 1v2, which could definitely happen, but, you know, I'd rather not leave it down to the Antiquarian chance, especially when she could very well go Fearful and my opponent could get the protection up and just kind of ruin me from there. So if you do want to play this team, I definitely recommend it. Lots of fun, might not work very well against triple repulse, but, you know, that's just a sacrifice you have to make. Definitely take off Invigorating Vapor, just put on Nervous Stab or Regen. Honestly, Regen's probably going to be better if you run against damage teams, which I kinda didn't. But Nervous Stab is perfectly okay, definitely not Invigorating Vapors. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers!